Imagine being a child and one day you wake up unable to move your legs and having difficulty breathing. Those are the symptoms of polio. Polio, unfortunately, is eradicated in the United States because of vaccinations. Today, I'm here to share with you the importance of vaccinations and the health of society. Everybody gets vaccinations or has the opportunity to opt out of them. Regardless of your choice, it is important to know facts about vaccinations to be able to make an informed decision. I have gotten my recommended vaccinations as well as I've taken classes about vaccinations and diseases, which makes me informed to tell you about this topic. Today you will learn about what vaccinations are, vaccination programs in the United States, and how vaccinations have reduced diseases in the United States. To understand what vaccinations are and how they help society, it is important to know what a vaccine is. So what is a vaccine? A vaccine is something that helps people be immune to things. But what's immunity? Immunity is the body's ability to fight diseases. There's two main types of immunity that I'm going to talk about. Passive immunity is when antibodies from a mother are passed to her child through breast milk or her placenta. The immunity from the child is temporary. So what happens when that immunity goes away, or when that mother, or where she got those antibodies? That's active immunity. Active immunity is the body's ability to recognize an infection, create an immune response, create antibodies, and fight that infection. That can come from being sick and having a natural progression, or getting a vaccine, which enables an immune response. That's according to the CDC of 2017. There are two main types of vaccinations I'll talk about: the dead or inactivated virus vaccine, or the attenuated live vaccine. The inactivated vaccine is dead and it is strong in the blood, requires multiple doses in a short period of time. But the live vaccine is lymph immunity, and it produces a longer, stronger immunity, so you might need a booster every 10-20 years. Now let's talk about programs in the United States for vaccinations. The FDA, or U.S. Food and Drug Administration, regulates vaccines that are in circulation in the United States. They also test for the safety and effectiveness of these vaccines. According to the FDA, they are not the only ones that do this. They also work with the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, and the Center of Biologics Evaluation and Research, or CBER. The Centers of Disease Control promote immunization in global and local communities, as well as they guide countries to promote and understand vaccinations. According to the journal Expert Review of Vaccinations of 2017, the CDC did a 20-year vaccination program, which was estimated to prevent more than 21 million hospitalizations and 750,000 premature deaths, and those are great numbers. Lastly, we have the flu vaccination programs that yearly monitor what influenza strains are the most common and prevalent throughout the world, and so they can create vaccinations that are most effective at fighting those diseases and making a healthy society. Now that we've talked about available programs, let's go into what diseases have been reduced and how vaccinations have helped those. Smallpox was detrimental to the world. It was bad in the old world, it was bad in the new world. It completely decimated the American Indian population when Columbus came. But in 1980, this was not a problem anymore. It was globally eradicated. So much so, it became no problem. The vaccine's not even in use anymore. It's not in circulation. According to the International Epidemiology Journal, in 2017, they explained how in the 1970s in Copenhagen there was a study that showed children that got this live smallpox vaccine showed better immunity later on in life. Further, let's talk about polio. As I mentioned earlier, polio was eradicated in the U.S. in 1979. Only the U.S. It's still evident in other parts of the world. So children in the United States still receive oral vaccinations. This is because if the U.S. has a susceptible population to polio, they will get sick from immigrants, and they can cause outbreaks. This was evident in an outline from Mandel, Douglas, and Bennett's Principles and Practices of Infectious Diseases, written by Romero and Maudlin in 2015, when in Nigeria they suspended immunizations for polio for a year. It caused polio to be spread to 27 polio-free countries, which is not good. And that's also seen in the United States with measles. Measles was thought to be eradicated in 2000, but recently there have been outbreaks and outbreaks of them, like the one in New York recently, that have come about because of the anti-vax movement. Small communities aren't getting measles vaccinations and being susceptible to measles, which causes outbreaks. According to Cure Journal 2018, measles is a highly contagious disease that requires vaccination rates to be between 96 and 99% to be able for the community to be immune to it. Now that I've given you a brief overview of why vaccinations are so important, let's sum it all up. Today I talked about what vaccines are, programs in the United States about vaccinations, and how vaccinations have reduced or even eradicated disease worldwide. I'm going to end you on one last note from the author of On Immunity, Eula Biss. She says, imagine the action of a vaccine, not in how it affects a single body, but also in terms of how it affects a collective body of a community. Thank you. Oh no, did it stop? No, it's still going.